All right, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Mouse Minds. We are, of course, streaming for you live on YouTube, and of course, we will have the podcast up wherever your favorite place is to get your podcast, because that is live and up now. So if you search for podcast or search for Mouse Minds on your favorite podcast store like Apple Podcast or Spotify or Android or wherever you get your podcasts at, you will see our podcast in those. So just do a search for us and you will see that pop up. And we have an awesome new intro and outro for the show that I edited myself. So that you can listen to those on the actual podcast itself when you listen to the episodes. And we are getting it all uploaded there. So I am joined by Michael and Lisa.
Hi. I
So
listened to the podcast, the new intro and outro. I really liked it. So
it's pretty cool, right?
it really is.
And it has our names in it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Um, and I appreciate you guys joining me this week. As always, on Tuesday nights, we always get you here live on YouTube to stream our recording of the show here. And I posted it on the page itself, the podcast page. But you will see that I'm going to post the podcast every week by 5 p.m. on Fridays. So look out for them on Fridays. You should see that on there, and we will get that going for you because I think I've created a pretty good system for getting it edited and so on and so forth. So I should be able to get it there by Friday at 5. If not, it'll be sometime on Friday for sure. But I will try to get it done earlier and then schedule it for release so we have that available ready to go. But enough with the housekeeping stuff. We are here live and we are here to talk Disney. And for this show, I wanted to, get your guys' thoughts on some of the things that Disney is doing coming up. Of course, we have a lot of things coming out this year with the Disney parks. And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on some of the different attractions, things that we have coming at the Disney parks, some things that have already come to the Disney parks. First, I guess we could talk about what's changed at Epcot, what's coming at Epcot, and so on and so forth. So, Michael, I know you've been to Epcot recently. What do you think of the recent changes to Epcot?
I think the one biggest thing that hit me, and I was surprised, we were walking through the other night, I didn't realize that they had gone and changed the area music already. I was just starting to enjoy the music they've had. I guess it was already 2021. Brand new background loop. Not feeling it yet, but I guess at some point it will grow on me like the other one did. I was actually enjoying the other one. And as I'm listening, I'm like, this sounds bland. What's different? Oh, right, brand new music. The new area looks great. The little central park that they went and built in the middle of Epcot. We got more places to sit and eat. I think we were hoping for more attractions. But, I mean, it's nice. It's pretty. I guess they needed a little beautiful area. When they finish taking down the walls, hopefully we'll be in awesome shape. I'm excited to see what's going on, if anything, back in World Showcase. Because we're doing a lot of money going into, I guess, the new neighborhoods now.
Yeah, and that new neighborhood in the middle there, World Celebration, being the focal point for the whole expansion there, and really showcasing what they can do in that area, and really showcasing what Imagineering. I mean, just the theming alone for that area is gorgeous. I mean, you talked about those beautiful seating areas. If you really get into the nitty gritty of that, there's a lot of useful features in there as well. So there's a lot of charging ports. There's a lot of outlets. The seating is you could sit there for a while. It's a nice place if you've gotten a lot of snacks at the Festival of the Arts, which is going on right now, and want to have a place to sit and eat. It's a really nice vibe. And then at night, I think is when it really shines because the lights are just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the lighting package that's in Epcot right now, especially in the World Celebration area, is insane. It's just so beautiful, and I mean, it's I mean, as Disney fans are I think well I can't speak for all Disney fans, but as some hardcore Disney fans, we get excited by the littlest things. I mean, I remember when we were excited when they opened the Tangled bathrooms. We thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and it was just toilets. But the little expansion they've done to Epcot, even though it's just basically seating and you know lighting and a new kind of floor plan, it's just so beautiful and such a nice addition to the park. And I can see why the fans are enjoying it, especially the seating, because there's not only the table seating. If you kind of go to the left by Celebration or Creations Cafe and the shop there, there is a lot of like Adirondack chairs just to like sit in and relax. And I'm kind of shocked that they put that there. It's just a really nice, comfortable space just to sit and relax and just kind of watch people. And it's I think it's fantastic. I don't know if you noticed that too, Michael.
Yeah. Every time I'm trying to eat, usually we'll make our way all the way around World Showcase, find nothing. We'll come out through Canada, and then we'll wind up grabbing something just at the end, and
Mhm.
it's always packed over there. And now that they opened up the ice cream, the swirl shop over there, it's even harder now to find an area to eat that you're not standing on a garbage pail. And
Mhm.
like, if only the seating area was a little closer to where the food is. But then,
Mhm.
do you have people cleaning up after themselves? I don't want that new area to start becoming a trash dump and people leaving food behind. Not as many places to bring food over, so it's more like you said, more relax, more to take in the atmosphere, charge your phone, than like a functional picnic area. Unless they start building some more food in that location. I don't. Are you going to carry food over from the creation shop over? And there's so much food, not creations, connections.
Yeah, connections. Yep.
Or is there enough seating in there that you don't need to leave? So we'll see what becomes of it. If they leave it that way and it's just a nice place to relax and people watch, or is it going to become uh, more needed for food? See what happens.
I always think they need more options for places to sit and relax and take a break.
Mhm.
Especially, for those of like oftentimes I'll go park opening to park close and then some. So I'm always looking for a place even in the middle of the day just to relax or but it's I'm just thinking, for the families, for, people that just need a place to go chill out. That's going to be a really good place for folks to do that.
Mhm.
You're 100% right, and I totally agree. It's going to be nice to see. Well, I've already seen it. I've seen the people taking advantage of the seating and so on and so forth. And I apologize if my video is frozen, but hopefully you guys can still hear me. But I've seen a lot of people taking advantage of the seating, really enjoying the area, and really kind of exploring it. And I'm planning on going back this weekend, so it'll be nice to see how people utilize that space when it comes to the Festival of the Arts and the booths that they have there, because I could kind of tell, even though they had the booths up for the Christmas time when I was there last time, the holiday festival, that a lot of people were kind of like they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know what to make with it. They didn't really understand what the functionality was. They kind of just like looked at the tables and chairs and just were like, oh, okay. So I think as more people go into it, they'll and we have more of these festivals, they'll get kind of used to that being there and kind of gravitate towards those areas, because Disney or what Epcot does have a problem with seating and tables for these festivals. It's always been a problem. So this will definitely help alleviate that a lot.
And see, for me, I guess it's different because I go after work, so I don't get there till about 5:30, 6 o'clock before I leave the office. So it's one of the first things I encounter. I walk
Mhm.
into Epcot after driving the 45 minutes to an hour, go in, all of a sudden I have the seating that I just don't need at that point. I haven't been at the parks all day. I don't need to relax. If it was further back, I may need to take advantage, but I just walked in. So the seating doesn't appeal to me going in the evening. Sitting
Okay,
in the car for an hour.
that yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. I never thought about that, you know, it being so close to the entrance there. But it is about the only place unless they convert. I mean, I'm kind of surprised. So if you don't know, inside Epcot, in between the Canadian Pavilion and the UK Pavilion, is the World Showplace building, which is a huge building that they used to use for special events, like Feast of the Senses and things like that, at Food and Wine, other events. And I don't think they used it last year for anything. I don't think there was any events at that pavilion. So that's another space where they could put in some extra seating. But other than that, I mean, there's really not anywhere they can add. I mean, they've maxed out kind of where they can put, you know, tables and booths. And I mean, this is really the only logical spot.
And one thing I noticed, I just wandered back there one day. The bathrooms back there, I don't know if you've been in there, they are huge. It might be the largest bathroom. It takes you about a day and a half to walk all the way from World Showcase back up and around the planters, but it's probably the largest bathroom I've ever experienced at Disney.
And
It's quiet.
they keep those open all year round now. They do keep those
Mm-hmm.
open all year round, so you can utilize those. And those, you're right, those are an excellent choice if you um, are back that way. And they are very huge because I mean, again, they're used to having, you know, tons of people in that space for those massive parties. So this helps out a lot. That's why they need those larger restrooms. Now, looking forward with Epcot, I know we don't really have much in the way of attractions. I don't know if it's been officially announced or if it's a rumor still, but there's been a lot of chatter about Test Track being updated and there being some changes coming to Test Track. I think it was officially announced by the Disney Parks blog, but that really seems like something that is going to be happening in the future. And honestly, to me, it feels like we just got an update to Test Track. I don't know why we need another update to Test Track, but what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know Lisa's got to leave earlier. So I'd love to hear what she has to say.
So I always kind of think about those updates to Test Track. Test Track is one of those tried and true that like my kids go to, we all love. But I am more, especially in the queue, anything that can update, that can make it more. I mean, it's pretty interactive, depending on which queue you go into. But I really like it. Oh, I was like, wait a minute, there are messages on there.
Sorry to distract you.
Ah! But no, I would welcome. I have really been very pleased with all of the updates that Disney has done. So I can't think of anything where I went, oh well, that was kind of a waste. I'm probably just tired and just not thinking of anything off the top of my head. But and I was kind of trying to search and see, if any of those updates were specifically suggested. So or mentioned like in the Disney blog. Um, be interested to see what's coming. Because
No,
I don't know that I saw something official. That's not saying that it's not there because I've been super busy, but
um,
definitely missing Disney right now.
now I want to ask you a question. I want to get your opinion before you go, Lisa,
Mhm.
because one of the big things that we have coming this year um, is the Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
Mhm.
So we have that coming up. And I just got confirmation that the test track news was announced. So
Okay.
that Disney Parks did announce that. But we do have Tiana's Bayou Adventure coming. So are you excited for that? Are you sad that we lost Splash Mountain? What are your thoughts on that one?
I've still been very sad that we missed Splash Mountain. I was incredibly sad when we lost the Great Movie Ride. However, the new theming, the new Mickey's Runaway Railway, I love it. It's I mean, I loved the other, but this is really good too. Um, so with my daughters, being able to identify a lot with Tiana, like I'm excited that there will be an attraction dedicated to her and her story. So that's for my family with our multicultural, um, the way that we are. Um, I, that's one of the main reasons I'm excited. And I always like the theming. I mean, like I said, I loved Splash Mountain. Very sad
Hmm.
that it's gone. However, the new updates will be very exciting. Like I can't imagine anything being, they always outdo themselves. So
Hmm.
I'm excited. I don't know
There,
another word other than excited. I don't know.
there's been a lot of chatter about the animatronics in the ride, which are supposed to be just top notch. I'm really excited to see where that goes. I know we've talked on previous episodes about some of the things that I've seen out there, such as, conversational animatronics that you can have full on conversations with. I don't think obviously they'll bring that to this attraction, but they've come pretty far when it comes to what the animatronics can do and how they move and how realistic they look. So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out in the attraction. And it'll be quite interesting too, because I'd say one of the biggest things that I've always had a beef with when it comes to, this is the best way I can describe it, when it comes to Splash Mountain, is the amount of things that actually work in the attraction. When you go inside the attraction, you know, maybe Brer Rabbit isn't bouncing like he's supposed to, or one of the little turtles animatronics is not doing anything or is not moving. So there are always those like these little animatronics that always seem to break, and that was kind of one of the running things in the community was, oh, let's go on, Splash Mountain and see what's broken today. So it'll be nice to see, a full working attraction. um, I mean, that'll be a nice change. As bad as that sounds, I mean, if that's the only problems I have in life, then oh my god. But still,
Right. Well, I'm
You know what?
gonna
If
cut
you
out.
keep that in
So I'll
mind
see you
and
guys
you build,
later. I'll see you.
all right, bye.
no, just saying, if you're building something and you keep that in mind, maybe you don't make those mistakes again, and maybe you don't put in the smaller animatronics that could break.
Hmm.
Leave them static, omit them, do something, but you don't want to have to be in there weekly, monthly, making those repairs.
Of course.
So I guess it's just learning from your mistakes and being more mindful of how you're approaching it. As far as the new ride, I don't think you take out a classic and don't put in something twice as good. So we'll see
Exactly.
what happens. I mean, is Pooh a suitable replacement for Mr. Toad? Who knows? But I think this one they have bigger shoes to fill. So especially when it's one of your premier thrill rides in the park.
Yeah.
Dark ride. Okay, we'll replace it with a dark ride, but you only have so many thrill rides. No matter if you keep adding Tron and whatever, but
Hmm.
they got to make sure that they over deliver on this one.
I totally agree. I think the theming. I mean, the having a large drop, which Splash Mountain does, which I think contributes to its popularity, can only get you so far. You need to be able to have, you know, some sort of storyline or animatronics that because when you think about it, you have to get people to want to wait in an hour minimum line for this attraction. How do you get people to wait, that long for a ride like that? And I think with some quality animatronics and some great scenes, which Imagineering always does amazing when it comes to that. And what we've seen in previews and things presented by the Parks blog, it looks like it's going to be absolutely incredible on both coasts. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do with that. Now, speaking of Frontierland, while we're speaking on Frontierland, we have to talk about Country Bears. Country Bears is getting a total refurbishment. We don't know what it's going to look like when it's over. I actually went over the weekend with my weekly meet group that we do meets in the parks. And of course, if anyone is watching this, you guys are welcome to join. Just look up Theme Park Meets on Facebook, and you'll find our group. You're welcome to join us when we have our meets. But we did Country Bears just to get one last in at the show as it is. And of course, we've seen Country Bears change in the past. With they removed some of the jokes that were a little bit, I wouldn't say inappropriate, but they weren't as sensitive to, or they felt that they might offend people. So that seems to be the everyone's thoughts with this refurbishment of Country Bears. Again, is removing more of some of the classic bits that people may find offensive. Now, to be honest with you, I don't really. I mean, Michael, you can tell me this. I don't really see anything in Country Bears right now that I would deem, really offensive. I've heard some people say that they find the bit where the three girls who are from Tampa, the three bears that are from Tampa, singing that song. Every time a guy gets me shook, all I get from him is dirty looks. That whole routine, I've heard that people have been offended by that one. I think it's just good, clean fun. I can understand, you know, I can kind of understand if a parent came into the Country Bears and was watching it for the first time with their children and they heard Big Al sing Blood on the Saddle. I mean, that might rock them a little bit, but I mean, if they get rid of Blood on the Saddle, I think people are going to riot in the streets because, when I was there on Saturday, it was a packed house. I've never seen that many people in the Country Bears. It's one of those things where you never see a full house. It was a packed house. Everyone there was fans, and we were all hooting and hollering and singing along. And when Big Al came out and that he hit that first guitar chord, the crowd erupted in applause and screaming and cheering for him. And it's just one of those things that they have to keep it.
I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, this is Disney.
Mhm.
Absolutely nobody is offended by Country Bears. They're not getting thousands of letters a month saying this is an offensive attraction. I'm not going to get started on politics. I think it's Disney being Disney at this point.
Mhm.
But if they're also trying to incorporate, and I think that's where they're going, right? They want to start bringing in more. I hope that I can do all bear songs.
Mhm.
I'm not going there to see bare necessities. But is that where they're going with this? And are they trying to do more of their movie tie-ins? I believe that's what they're doing, or am I hearing this wrong?
I didn't see anything about that, but I can. Yeah, let me check on that because um, I didn't hear anything about movie tie-ins, but that wouldn't surprise me. Um,
I don't know if I was just reading the wrong thing or if they've even announced where they're going, but I thought that's what I heard. They were trying to make it more familiar for fans.
yeah,
I mean,
I mean that definitely makes sense. Um, yeah, yeah, I gotta get back to you on that one because I didn't hear
yeah,
anything um about that specifically. Um, hmm. It makes sense though. it makes sense that that would be the thing that they are working on. That would make sense that they're going to add that because the synergy is important. Having that synergy between the companies and between the movie company and so on and so forth is important. And also when they do things like that, the movie company helps foot the bill on those things as well. So when they kind of use their own IPs, sometimes the movie company will go ahead and do that. So it says the new show here will pay homage to the Opry style shows and will features the Bears singing new reinterpreted tunes and different genres of music, including bluegrass, pop country, Americana, and rockabilly.
Right. I think the word you missed there was new interpreted Disney tunes.
Hmm.
So I guess they are going to bring in. Is this going to be the Mickey Mouse review all over again, only
So
with
it
bears?
says the show is going to be inspired by classic Nashville variety shows, and Disney has involved Nashville musicians to create new arrangements for the songs. So I'm assuming, so that basically kind of confirms that they are going to, I mean, gut the show. I mean, it's going to be, I mean, that basically sounds like a whole new show to me. I don't know what you think, Michael, but that basically sounds like a whole new show to me. We're going to be getting
Yes.
all new songs.
Yeah, I don't know what site you're reading from. I'm seeing similar. This is posted back in January. Same thing. Well, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm pulling from the I'm pulling. This was announced by Disney, so this was.
okay, yeah, the one I just did a quick Google search. While the revamp promises to include some familiar tunes that fans of the Singing Bears know and love, the blog posts say that the Bears will also sing new, reinterpreted Disney tunes
Mhm.
in different genres of classic music, country, blah 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 blah. So we'll see.
Yeah,
And I don't know how does this work. You think they're building some stuff now? They're not going to wait until they tear out the old stuff, right? If they already announced it,
yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
presume that they're already in progress with building, and they can
I,
just pull that stuff in.
I would imagine. I'm sure they're already in the studios putting together the tracks, and or they've probably
Yep.
already got them together, putting together the music. It always fascinates me. You know, I you think of like music production, and you think of artists and them producing music, but theme park music, the music we love in these attractions, is made in these same studios. I mean, they go to the same studios to record this stuff, and which I don't know why that fascinates me, but I guess my brain never made the never thought, I thought there was some special like Imagineering place where they went to, but they really do go to like these specific studios, and I'm sure they went to Nashville to one of the top studios there that has housed, legends of country music and recorded this audio there. So it'll be very interesting to see what they come up with. I mean, I do understand what they're doing. I mean, the Country Bears, as amazing as that show is, and as campy and fun and everything else that that show is, I think it's time for an upgrade. I think it's time for something new, something to re-energize it and get people back into that show. And I think this will be I think this will definitely ignite a new generation to love the Country Bears. And if they keep some of the major classic tunes like Blood on the Saddle, I think it'll everyone will be happy.
Yeah, I guess so. The answer to your question of how do you create an attraction that will get people in, I guess just announce its closing.
Yeah,
Because, like you said, it has been packed, and it hasn't been packed since the '90s. Come on.
yeah. I mean, when I say packed, like you were right up on your neighbor. Like you were right next to. I mean, it was tight. I've never seen it that tight, and even the main like waiting area where that you go into before the actual show was packed. I mean, it was wall to wall people. So you're right. I've never seen that since like the '90s. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how long that lasts when the new attraction comes out. Because as with any attraction, like you said, anytime Disney closes or is closing an attraction, people run to it like they're losing an old friend, but it's like, okay, yeah, that's the case, but where were you 6 months ago when they didn't announce that it was closing?
Right.
Where were you then? So,
Yeah, I'm going to be going Thursday night, I hope, to catch it before going to the DVC event in Epcot. So
oh, very
one last
nice.
visit. One last visit. We'll see how it goes.
Very
I know
nice.
it'll be packed, but I mean, that's probably part of the fun, too.
Well, we have two more things I want to talk about at Disney World. Number one, which is already returned, is the dining plan. The dining plan has returned at Disney World. This is a major component of Disney World for such a long time. There's so many fans of the dining plan. I honestly can't ever believe that they got rid of it because it got so many people to go to the parks. But I think we all kind of saw it coming because of the fact that um, the dining plan got less and less and less throughout the years. I mean, if you would have looked at it in the early 2000s, you know, people had so many credits. I mean, I went with some of my family once to Disney, and by the end of their trip, they gave me their, you know, I forget what you were using at the time to get to be a part of the what they were using, but they had like credits, and they had something like 7 or 8 snack credits left and like a couple counter service meal credits left and so on and so forth. And it was this huge thing because they just couldn't eat all the food. I mean, they were having a table service for breakfast with a and then they'd have a counter service for lunch and then a table service for dinner, and all these meals were appetizer, entree, and dessert for everyone in your party. And it was massive. And then of course they took it down to just an appetizer and an entree, or an entree and a dessert. And then they took it down to where it was, basically just counter service, and then you had different tiers and so on and so forth. And the program has changed so much throughout the years. And then of course now we have the new program, which is rather interesting because it you have to be, at the time, you had to be a Disney Plus subscriber, if I remember correctly, to actually take advantage of it. I'm trying to look that up here because there was something about being a Disney Plus subscriber to take advantage of. I don't know if that was the whole thing here, but that was part of the plan. Maybe that was just for the first.
Could have been a temporary
Could have
thing,
been a
just to
temporary
until they
thing, but
figured out, let them be the guinea pigs to see how it works out before we roll it out officially.
now, Michael, what is your thoughts on the dining plan?
I've never used it. I think I tried it once. I mean, there was a time talking way back. It used to include everything. Like you didn't even have to worry about a tip. You signed, you left. Then they took the gratuity out of it, which I guess makes more sense from a server point of view. The fact that they're now requiring you to book at rack rate for your room, it really takes some careful math to make sure that this is going to work.
Hmm.
I don't need, like you said, I don't need an appetizer with every single meal. I'm certainly not getting dessert at every single meal. I don't care how many steps I'm doing. Um, I'm just not, hey, would you like to see a dessert menu? Nope, I'm full. I'm good. I'm heading out now. Um, the cupcakes are all terrible and tasteless. You can only eat so many cupcakes.
Oh, don't say
Cupcakes.
that. They're
Uh,
delicious.
I
Some of
mean,
them are
some
good.
places have nice desserts. If you're going to give me a generic Disney cupcake, I'm good. It's not worth the $9 you're charging me to begin with, much less building it into my dining plan. Um, but I mean, when I go, I would usually eat breakfast in the room, or I'd have a big breakfast, skip lunch, and have dinner. So if you're going to be on the dining plan, you only get 2 meals, you make it work. I don't know if they're
Mhm.
counting on you to go buy that third meal, or if you can just take in enough to be good and have some snacks throughout the day. Maybe that's what your snacks credits are for. So, but I mean, as a local now, and I'll go for a
Mhm.
night occasionally. I never really gave much thought to the dining plan setup now.
I always saw it as a great option to kind of give if you're traveling from another state or something and you're not a local, to give yourself that option of a like sort of an all-inclusive type package, because you have that food on there. I mean, obviously, I don't think it ever included alcoholic beverages, but you always had that sort of all-inclusive options for them with the food and everything else, which a lot of parks have similar options, especially in the area, in the Orlando area. All the other parks have, some sort of dining option. I don't know if Universal still does, but I know SeaWorld does. So there is sort of an all day dining option available at those parks. But I honestly, I you're right. Is it worth it? And I think too, I think the dining plan really caused a shift in the Disney restaurants. And I've said this before. If you ever listened to me talk on some of the other podcasts that I've been on, I've been saying this for years. I really feel like the quality of food went down when the dining plan was initiated. And I feel like, because these restaurants had so many people on a dining plan, because at one point, I mean, you went into a restaurant and I mean, you could guarantee that about 90% of the restaurant was on a dining plan.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that really contributed. They had to kind of work within the dining plan to maximize whatever stipend or whatever percentage or whatever they get from Disney when you eat in that restaurant. So I really feel like that really lowered the quality of a lot of the restaurants. And one of the things I see now that's kind of taken the place of that is the prefix menus. A lot of restaurants now have are not a lot, but there's a good amount of restaurants on property in the parks and so on and so forth that are coming out with sort of like one price menus where you either have a skillet, an all you can eat meal that's family style, or you have a buffet, or you have a prefix menu. Like, for example, Be Our Guest is a prefix menu. You have your appetizer, entree, dessert for one price. Space 220 is a prefix menu. Yeah, you could kind of you get around that if you sit at the bar, but sitting at the tables, it's pretty much a prefix menu. So I think that kind of cuts into the quality too, because now they know, okay, well, I've got to serve them appetizer, entree, dessert, and it has to be this price. So that they try to work within there to maximize their profits on the food cost, which I totally understand, which is totally relatable. But I do feel like it cuts back on kind of the quality and the creativity when it comes to the dishes, because they're looking to make as much money as possible. That's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, and I've never been a fan of the food of the Magic Kingdom anyway. Anytime somebody asks me where the best place to eat in the Magic Kingdom is, I just tell them just not in the Magic Kingdom. So you're hard pressed to find a place to say, okay, well, I'm going to get this meal. I'm really looking forward to so and so. And Be Our Guest was palatable at least before the change, and I've heard nothing but bad things about the way the food's gone there. And some places go up, some places go down. Those are excuse me, wasn't a fan when I went back. Probably won't do it again. I was surprised the meal plan came back. Because
I was surprised too.
it was. I thought for sure we were gone. I'm looking at it going, the places are packed, the parks are packed. People have to eat anyway. They're paying full price out of pocket for every single meal. Where's the incentive? If for a while, yeah, attendance was dropping. So the meal plan was the incentive that got folks to visit the parks. I very seldom, any time of the year now you go, is it ever back to being empty. January was always a beautiful month to go. Now it's back to being crowded again. So do they
Yeah.
need people back in the hotels? I thought the hotels were doing okay. Maybe I haven't seen the numbers, but I thought that that's what the whole meal plan was for, the incentive to get folks who weren't coming to come down.
I agree, and you're right. I was just thinking about that the other day. January used to be like our respite as locals. It would be the time of the year when the weather was cold. and there wouldn't be a lot of people in the parks. You could go on a Friday night and not be surrounded by a mob of people, but it just doesn't happen anymore. And I think that really started with the Festival of the Arts because people, look forward to that event every year, and it's something that brings people to Epcot.
Right. And
And
then
with
that's when
Epcot,
I'm always surprised at how packed the Magic Kingdom is because you think everybody would be over at Epcot. Um, it's gotten to the point now where I don't ride anything until the fireworks. I mean, I've got the luxury of just going in. I'll go in, just do a lap through the park, do nothing, and then just leave. But I got some steps in. Now it's to the point where I have to wait for everyone to be out there shooting video of the fireworks that they're not going to watch when they get home because that's the only time
yeah,
Haunted Mansion and Pirates and Peter Pan have a low wait time.
yeah,
And I can only get 2 rides in maybe before the fireworks are over. But if that's what it takes, that's what I'll do. I don't need to see the fireworks again. I saw them last week. I saw them last month. I saw them whenever. I
yeah,
walked out the other day because the fireworks were on. I took the back behind, connecting by the Plaza Ice Cream, the Plaza
hmm,
restaurant down toward Tony's, walked out there, and I walked back over to my car at the Contemporary as the fireworks were going off. And I didn't even look over my
yeah. I don't
shoulder like,
blame
I
you.
don't miss this. So it was awesome to have that break. But I'm waiting to see when these crowds are going to start disappearing. I thought, okay, what's Christmas? Everybody will go home. Oh, it's race weekend.
Yeah,
Everyone will go home. What's the excuse? Kids are supposed to be in school, and yet they're all in line
yeah,
in front of me on the rides.
yeah. It's been pretty busy. Now there obviously is more stuff that we could talk about. Um, the of course we have the new Little Mermaid show coming this year, the musical show. Um, I don't really have much to say on that one, so I'm gonna skip that one just in the essence of time here.
Mhm.
But that is coming. But I want to touch on two more things. One being resorts, and one being food, because we had some major additions and we have some major additions coming when it comes to food. Um, Now, number one, I want to touch on Fort Wilderness, which Fort Wilderness is always near and dear to my heart, and it's my favorite place on Disney property. And if you haven't seen already, they are redoing the cabins at Fort Wilderness, the campsites, into a new themed DVC cabins. They're going to be available for DVC, so on and so forth. And I actually have friends who have told me they're going to buy to DVC specifically because of the cabins. So I think this was a genius move. I think the cabins, while they don't look as rustic as they do now, especially on the inside, I do think that these cabins look pretty great. And again, these cabins have always amazed me because they're basically just trailers with a shell on the outside on top of it. And to see if you've seen some of the concept art, of what these cabins are going to look like. Let me see if I can get this um, photo up here, and so you guys can see some of this concept art. But just to see some of this concept art here is pretty awesome. What these cabins are going to look like. So I'm really excited, and I'm gonna pop. I think I got it right here. I'm gonna pop this up for you guys to see. But I'm really excited to see what these cabins look like. And I don't know why it's not showing the whole photo there, but you can get some sort of an idea there what the cabin looks like. But they're very modern, but also kind of rustic at the same time. So those are very exciting to me. Now, the thing that I would say when it comes to resorts that I'm least looking forward to, just because it's such a big footprint, and I don't think it fits in with anything else. It's got to be the DVC Polynesian building.
Mhm.
The new Polynesian building. When they built the last DVC building, they made it look like, you know, kind of fit in with the other Polynesian buildings. Now, obviously, I haven't seen, the final building, but even just looking at the renderings of what it's going to look like, you I'm still like, I'm kind of on the. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see it. I know what they were going for. Hey, we're going to have waterfront. That's going to be the draw. View of the park. Want to see what comes of it. I've stayed at the DVC there, the longhouses, nice environment. So that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
Supposedly.
I appreciate the expansion of DVC and having more options for DVC guests. It really feels like all of all of Disney World is going to be DVC at some point. It's they really love that model, and of course they have just added the DVC expansion to Disneyland too. Which anytime they do a DVC expansion at Disneyland, I get really close to purchasing DVC just for that, just to have something in Disneyland. Because over here it doesn't make any sense for me because I'm a local, but having something at Disneyland, and then having the option to maybe go to somewhere like Alani or one of the other options that could be advantageous for me to take advantage of. So I totally understand that, but this one, I mean, I don't know. It's not it's not do and the more I see them putting it together when you ride in the monorail,
Mhm.
I'm not feeling it.
It's Bay Lake Tower at the Polynesian at the end of the
Pretty
day.
much, pretty much.
I'm
And I
curious to
have no
see.
problem with Bay Lake Tower because it fits in with contemporary.
Mhm.
It's a contemporary theme, and I actually really enjoy Bay Lake Tower, but I just don't think it fits with the Polynesian.
Yeah, I'm wait to see. And
Yeah.
when with Fort Wilderness, and I've only gone over there a handful of times, and
Mhm.
the absence of cars on the road is noticeable. People with the golf carts. I'm wondering how they're going to handle that with your DVC guests who are down there. Are you going to have to park elsewhere and take a bus with your luggage? How are they going to do that? Well, they will be off to the side where you
I
can
mean,
drive in a back way because.
the cabins do have parking. You
Mhm.
can get like 2 cars, I think is the max that you're allowed to have, on your site, but it really parking is kind of a mess at the campgrounds
Yep.
because, you get 2 cars on a campsite, and then you everyone else that if you're having visitors over, they have to park at the front, and that's if they allow them to park at the front and then take a bus over or have your person that's staying there come and pick you up in a golf cart. And if any and sometimes they don't let you do that. You have to park at the TTC and find a boat and go to Magic and then take a boat over to Fort Wilderness from there. And it can be kind of a mess getting over there, or a bus or whatever else. It can be kind of a mess getting over there. So yeah, that's always been an issue. But I think the cabins will do really nice over there. I think it'll be something different. I think the DVC people will really appreciate that, and it'll be something nice and new for them, and having that their own kind of separate space there.
Yeah, and there are plenty of resorts I haven't stayed at yet, simply because they're not DVC. I've
Mhm.
covered all the DVC resorts so far. I have never stayed at the Fort Wilderness, but this will give me an opportunity now to do it. It won't convince me to buy more points, but I have another option of a place to look if there's availability. I find myself using them more now at Vero Beach and Hilton Head Island than I do locally, unless I just take a night for a birthday or just to get
Yeah, of
away.
course. I mean, that makes perfect sense. You don't want to. You can go to the parks anytime you want. So why, being so close, it doesn't really feel like you're getting away anywhere. It just feels like a place to stay close to the parks.
And I've used
Now,
it when I've had visitors come in from out of town. If I had to
mhm.
drive them to the airport the next day, I mean, getting to the airport from my house, it's not hard, but it's not easy, especially during rush hour. So that's the night I'll take a room, and now I'm leaving from Disney property as opposed to down here, and it makes the trip a little easier.
Now, last I want to talk about is food. Now, of course, I'm a big proponent of all things food at Disney World. I've often heard people say that Disney is just one place where I'm looking for the next snack. And I totally agree with that in some points. It really does feel that way a lot of times, especially with the festivals that I've cut. But we have 2 new additions. Well, one is already open, and then we have another one really coming. I would consider big additions here. And if getting a new cake, um, cake bake shop. It's called the Cake Bake Shop, and it's by Gwendolyn Rogers. And it's going to have a variety of pastries and baked goods, as well as it'll also do afternoon tea. So that should be an interesting addition, and that's going to go where the ESPN Club used to be. So that'll be a nice addition to that area, and it'll be nice to have something over there. Kind of, kind of conflicts with the Boardwalk Bakery, but we'll see what they offer and so on and so forth, and how the cakes are. But I'm excited for this one. This one looks pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think Disney would have allowed them to sign a lease if it was going to be in direct competition with the bakery. It
Of
may
course.
very well take away. Depends if they have a walk-up window, which they might, because you're not going into the Boardwalk Bakery to stay and get a meal. You're grabbing something to take on the run, which, it may or may not be in competition. I'm curious to see if it's something that can sustain. Do you need a massive cake operation 7 days a week, all day? Unless you take advantage of, like you said, a tea and afternoon tea, if they have, um, little things that you can book to bring people
Mhm.
in. I can't see myself going anytime soon. I'm not one of the people that stands online endless hours to go get a cookie at Gideon's because Instagram told me I needed to. But that's all it is. The other shop empty. Nobody goes there, but everyone goes here. But people enjoy the cookies. Let's see. If this turns out to be a home run, it's a large space. I'm sure you've seen the construction.
Yeah,
And when I found out what it was turning into, I'm like, this is going to be a cake shop. This is massive.
yeah.
So,
That was a massive building. That ESPN Club was huge. I kind
mhm.
of missed that place, by the way. They had some really good nachos, and it was just a nice place that you could go to like after the parks, and it always had reservations. And you always could guarantee to get a good burger and some fries, or something, not too crazy, and the prices were good. And it was just, or you could just go in there and have nachos and just hang out and watch some stuff on the TVs and just hang out. I always thought that was a fun hangout. I do kind of miss that one a little bit. And then, speaking, of course, of that area, we just lost, or was just announced a couple days ago, that the Big River Grill is is closed, or I don't know if it's still open or if they had their last day already, but that one closed. Was not terribly shocked by that one. That I haven't eaten there in years, so
Yeah, me either. I
I don't know
went
really
once and
anyone
it
that's been there.
smelled awful. Like, I don't know what it was, but we wound up just, we left and the manager was like, all right, fine, we'll comp your meal. It was atrocious. And that one bad experience was enough to keep us out. But I mean, there were enough people in there that, maybe it was just an off day.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's an area for opportunity. That's
Yeah,
the only major restaurant on that side. So hopefully, whoever goes in there operates it right, because you've got a gold mine in that area. You can walk from Epcot from the back to go grab a meal and then head back. Any of the restaurants, any of the resorts on the loop, so you have a good chance. So let's see what happens there.
now I want to talk about something that I think you've been, and that would be the Eat restaurant at Disney Springs, which is the new Indian restaurant at Disney Springs, which I've been to. I went there when it first opened, because of the vegetarian options, and I was very intrigued by the non pizza, which is basically just a huge piece of non bread with um, Indian style toppings. They had the basically the curry on top with the paneer cheese, and they have other flavors as well. But I thought this was a solid hit. Now, it's not traditional Indian food by any means. It's Americanized fusion Indian food. It's not your regular Indian restaurant spicy curry, so on and so forth. But Indian food is kind of one of those things that you have to ease people into. Some people, I know, I have family members who just cannot stand curry, the smell of curry. They cannot eat curry. So, you have to kind of ease people into Indian food, I think. People are a little anxious to try it. But I think this is what this restaurant does is, it's at Disney. they have things like like the non pizza. It gets people to kind of get those grasp those flavors of Indian food, and then maybe they go home and explore their local Indian restaurant, and kind of explore what foods are there and kind of take that journey a little further. Michael, what are your thoughts on that, on the restaurant?
So I am talking strictly to our friends in the Northeast here. Where I was living in first Staten Island, and my wife is Indian, Jamaican Indian. So
Hmm.
she had a lot of friends who said, "Oh, you have to go to Island to get this food." And we drove around trying to find this place called Shalimar, top quality stuff, and then Rasoi. And then we wound up moving to a town just above Island, and the food was, I mean, this was Little India. They had Little India Square, all the shops, you wouldn't find jeans or shirts, everything were saris and jewelry and just food. This was like authentic food. So I was really curious to see how this was going to play out. Um, it's Disney priced, so it's to be expected.
Hmm.
But they didn't dumb it down the way I was worried they were. I took home samosas for my wife, and she really loved them. So I was happy because I thought she was going to say this is terrible. She enjoyed it. So we'll be back. It won't be a place that we'll go all the time, but if we're in Disney Springs, we'll probably pop in, take some food home.
It's a great counter service. I also enjoyed the penny puri appetizers, the little cups that it's kind of like do it yourself. You put the filling inside, and then they give you a little bottle of I forget what they call the liquid that you pour in the penny puri, but that was out of this world really good. It had the right amount of heat. It was a little spicy. It just had a kick. That was amazing. That and the non pizza were just solid hits. But I have to say, like what really got me excited about this restaurant was the operation of the restaurant. So one of the things that they have is they have like a dessert naan with like Nutella and strawberries on things like that. And it's not something you normally see at an Indian restaurant. So I was sitting down eating my food, and I was like, you know what? I like this has been so good. Like I think I got to try the dessert. And the girl came out, the server came, or the person who brought me my food came out and said, "Hey," I asked her, I said, "Hey, can I get the thing? Do I gotta wait in line again?" And she's like, "No, no, no, I'll do you right here." And she had a point of sale, system, a little small pocket device where she could ring me up right there, at my table, take my order. She put the number on my table. When my food came out, she brought it to my table. Um, you know, and that was amazing. So that quick service was just fantastic, and I really applaud them for that. I really like things like that.
Yeah, and if
Now,
they
go ahead. No, go ahead.
no, I'm good. I was going to say if they keep it up and they don't keep changing the menu. I look at like Skipper Canteen, what it was versus what it is now. You remove certain items, you remove duck or whatever, just to make sure you get your crowd. And as long as people keep going for the existing menu, maybe it'll stay authentic. So see what happens.
Now, last but not least, here, I want to finish this podcast by talking about something that I've been going to actually a lot, and that is Summer House on the Lake. And I have been enthralled with this restaurant. I love. If you haven't seen it, it's a new restaurant that replaced the Gloria Estefan's restaurant, Bongos at Disney Springs, and it sits right by the lake. And the way that they've designed this restaurant is it's sort of like there is a sidewalk behind the restaurant, but it's raised. The restaurant is raised, so when you look out the windows, you're looking right into the lake.
Wow.
And this restaurant has just it's exactly what the name says is what you feel when you're inside there. You feel like you're at a summer house on the lake. They have kind of those I don't want to say nautical themed chairs, but it's just got that, like New Hampshire or Maine or whatever type, house on the lake type vibes. And it's gorgeous inside. It's casual, but it's also fancy at the same time. It looks beautiful, but you don't feel out of place eating there in a t-shirt and shorts. You know,
Hmm.
you don't feel like you have to get dressed up to go there. You know, you can sit at the back bar and just look out at the lake and just enjoy your time there. It's incredible. And to be honest with you, I wasn't only amazed by that, I was amazed by the food as well. I was, halfway expecting it to kind of be overpriced and not really having that much flavor and, just being something that's not great. And when I went there, I was kind of blown away. Uh, I I purchased, well, of course, we started with the appetizers, which at the time they were offering a burrata special, which was house made burrata, like house made burrata with different accoutrements. At the time, um, my daughter's is doing gluten free, so I'm trying to do that with her too. So we were doing gluten free, so we didn't get the normal accoutrement like the crackers and things like that. They actually gave us like corn chips or something to eat with the thing. It's fine, but that's another thing too. They're very, very accommodating when it comes to any allergies, and almost every dish they have can be made gluten free. They have a gluten free option for it, which is really awesome too. But the burrata was incredible. It was creamy. It was fresh. It had that outside layer that was, a little thick. It was incredible. And then on top of that, we also had the truffle fries, which were just these fries piled high with shaved truffle on top and cheese. And then there was this amazing like truffle aioli that was served with it. I mean, and that was just the start. And then I went back a second time. This was within a week. I've been twice within 1 week because that's how good it is, and I plan on probably going this upcoming weekend again too, because I love it so much. And I I got the shaved mushroom pizza, which is just a regular pizza, and they have gluten free crust as well for those that are gluten free. And it had the shaved mushrooms on there, and then it had the truffle glaze on there as well, and not the truffle, not glaze, but the truffle oil on there, and the cheese and everything else. And this was just out of this world good. I mean, I wanted to try something different the second time that I went back, but I could not. I had to go back to the shaved mushroom pizza because it was that good. And I don't eat meat, so a lot of times my options are limited when it comes to restaurants, as far as what I can eat. But they had a lot of vegetarian options. Now, when it comes to vegan options, there were not as many vegan options um, as there were vegetarian options. But if you're vegetarian, there's plenty of options here, and I was blown away. And I'm gonna put up here for those who are watching live, you can see that pizza, and this was just it had that as the professor of pizza says, Dave Portnoy says it had that great undercarriage, that kind of it wasn't floppy. It didn't have the flop. So it was really good. It was cooked great. It had a nice crisp on the crust. The cheese was melted perfectly. The shaved mushroom, the truffle, all that was just incredible. Now, of course, I want to go back and try the pasta, and there's some other things that I want to try that they have there. But overall, I'm just blown away. And not only that, I got one of the non-alcoholic drinks to try, which was it's called the Strawberry Fields. Because I'm always after a good mocktail. Because I don't really drink alcohol, but I enjoy drinks that mixed drinks like that. And this was amazing. It's a mix of lavender and strawberry and club soda, and there's some other things in there as well. And you can see this on the screen here. And
Hmm.
this was refreshing. It was tart. It was sweet. It was just the lavender had like a nice subtle flavor in there. It was just incredible. So I highly recommend if you are thinking, please. check out this place. And then on top of that, you can order the cookies for dessert, which I love their pinky cookie, which is a giant sugar cookie with loaded with a thick layer of pink icing. It's just fantastic that they have at the cookie bar. And for dessert, they have other desserts as well, but you can get that, or you can also get milk and cookies. They'll serve you three cookies with milk, and you can have milk and cookies as your dessert. So it's just a fun, relaxing place. And I'm telling you right now, when it gets warmer and it gets a little warmer in the springtime, you if you want to find me, I'll be on that back patio, just hanging out with my mocktail, enjoying the breeze, and just watching the people walk by and just enjoying the lake. I mean, I could see myself spending hours there just taking it in.
How's the pricing?
So the pricing is good. So for my pizza, which was, I mean, I ate half of it and I took the rest home. I couldn't eat it all. It was $20, which honestly, for a Disney restaurant is not bad. I mean, that's a couple dollars less than you'd have a Blaze pizza. So, and I mean, the appetizers are 8, 9, $10. I mean, it's not, I thought we would be looking at, 30, $40 entrees just based on the way this place
Right,
looks.
right.
And they really don't have that. There's not really like I mean, yes, they have, you know, I believe they have a steak on the menu and things like that, but it's not, the higher priced entrees. They have a lot of sandwiches, there's the pasta, things like that. So I was really impressed. The prices were actually not bad. I for everything that you get at this restaurant, the ambiance and everything else, and I'll throw the menu up on here on the uh, on the live stream so you guys can kind of look at it there. But you'll see there the prices. For those of you who, I mean, obviously my screen is not big enough to see it, but for those of you you can see the prices are not actually that horrible. I thought they were very reasonable for being on Disney property.
Mhm.
So I was impressed. I was definitely impressed.
Yeah, and it's
Now,
been so
one
chilly
play,
here lately at night. I mean, that's not the time when you want to go sitting outside. Like I said, as soon as it warms up, I'm definitely planning on trying this place out.
yeah, and I think the way the restaurant's designed is they can kind of there's like a lot of doors that it looks like they can open, kind of like if you were in a lake house and you would open those doors and let the breeze through. So it'll be interesting to see if they kind of utilize that space and because the way it's laid out, like they could totally just open up the doors and let the breeze in and just kind of enjoy that outdoor weather and have one big, like open air restaurant. So I could totally see them doing that when it comes to the springtime and it's not 90 degrees out. But yeah, I'm excited. Now, one thing I will tell you that was a miss when it comes to price was recently, and this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll make this brief because I know, Michael, you might be pressed for time, but is Everglazed Donuts. Now, I love Everglazed Donuts. They are amazing donuts. They are the best donuts. I've never had a donut like Everglazed Donuts, but please, if you go there, and I say this with peace and love, if you go there, like Ringo says, peace and love, if you go there and you get the six pack, please know that they do not give you a discount for buying six donuts. I found that out because I went there, I was craving it, and I bought a six pack, and it wound up being $40
Whoa.
for a six pack of donuts. Yes.
Yeah, that's
Now, they were very large. If you've seen the Everglazed donuts, they're massive. They're very thick. They have the Oreo one with the Oreo on top, and so, but they charge you individually for the donuts, and the donuts are like $5, $6 a pop. Some are $8, $9 a pop, depending on which ones you get. So they are good if you buy them individually. Even then, it's kind of a lot for a donut. I mean, it's $6, $7, $8 for a donut is a lot, but buying a six pack, just know they don't give you a discount. I had a little bit of sticker shock there. I'm not gonna lie.
you know what? You can keep your six donuts. I'm gonna go next door and get something cheaper. But thanks for the warning.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go
yeah.
there and
I
try one
was.
just to say I've had one, but can't see myself offering six donuts.
I mean, honestly, I always say you can say a lot about a donut shop in how their glazed donut tastes. If they can get their glazed donut right, the core donut,
Mhm.
then pretty much everything else is going to be a slam dunk.
Yep.
And their glazed donut is the best glazed donut I have ever had, and I've had all kinds of donuts throughout my life. I've been to mom and pop donut shops. I've been to, Dunkin' Donuts, the Krispy Kreme, all these places, and I can honestly tell you that that is the best glazed donut that I ever had, and I will go back there, when I get the craving and go get a donut. For right now, I'm so fixated on Summer House that I don't see myself going anywhere else anytime soon.
For $16, that glazed donut better be the best one I've ever had. So just leave it at that.
I totally agree. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you to all of you who joined in. I saw we had people filtering in and out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure to check out the Disney and Beyond channel, like and subscribe to the page so you can get updates of when we do the stream live. And make sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your favorite podcasts at. We're streaming on all those, or we're on all those platforms now. So make sure to check us out on there. And Michael, did you have any closing words before we close out the show this week?
No, it's exciting to hear all the new stuff that Disney's getting ready for guests. So it's going to be a fun year.
I think it's going to be a great year and one to look forward to. And we just scratched the surface because we didn't even talk about things like what's happening at Disneyland with the Haunted Mansion and all kinds of other stuff, which we can definitely talk about at a later time. But we definitely want to thank you guys for joining us and joining this week on our show. Thank you to Lisa for also being here as well. And as for this week, this is Michael and Robert signing off here, and Lisa as well. And we will see you guys next week.
Great week, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Bye.